And you're doing that on television in a show like Community, and for some reason there is a relationship that on Community, an episode you did on Community got you Captain America. How does that happen? Somebody's watching Community and they say, oh, they're perfect to do the next big Marvel movie.
As you can imagine, there's not a lot of people that could do that or say that. Yeah,
there's Kevin Feige, to his credit, is a pop culture junkie. He absorbs a lot of content, and he keeps a notepad of anything that he likes, anything that inspires him, and then he writes down the names of people involved with it, and he meets a lot of people. He just tries to meet people who are inspiring to him, he had seen we did a genre spoof. Community, if you haven't seen it, is a sitcom that would spoof genre pretty regularly, and we did some paintball episodes that were an action genre spoof. And they ended. Justin Lin, who's a very good friend of ours, did the first one, which was in season 1, and then season 2 we did a finale, 2-part finale that Anthony and I directed. That Kevin happened to see, and even though we're spoofing action, he was looking at the way we were constructing action on the show, and he went, "I think these guys understand the action genre. We should bring them in and have a conversation with them." Turned out that we also have to be huge comic book fans. I've been collecting since I was a kid, pop culture junkies. So we connected on a lot of levels with them, and had very strong opinions about what we thought they should do with the character of Captain America. And went through a very long process to win the movie, but that's the story.
And you did, and now you find yourselves the kings of the comic book genre. Now you're going to do the next 2 Avengers movies, and you've done this, and it's so different than how you started. Did you have any idea when you were starting in this business that that's where you would want to take your career, at least at this point?
Look, we grew up film geeks. We didn't grow up messing around with cameras, but we grew up real geeks. We lived not far from a place called the Cleveland Cinematheque, which is an amazing sort of art house cinema there. And so we watched tons of foreign film. We loved obscure art films. But at the same time, you end up connecting to other people over movies that everybody has seen, right? These collective Godfather 2 or whatever it may be. It's like, so and we like that part. We like that communal part of the filmmaking experience. So like while we may have tastes that can go obscure sometimes, it's those big movies that everybody watches and that everybody talks about and that become like a shared experience. I think is the most exciting aspect of filmmaking for us. So I think, while we started in maybe a weirder, quirkier place that we were able to transition and start making a living off of by moving it into television, I think part of us always knew we were going to be driving toward big films because again, of the importance of that shared experience of filmmaking.
What is it about today? You notice people like Colin Trevorrow, who starts off with Safety Not Guaranteed, a small indie movie, and Steven Spielberg sees that and says, you're perfect to do Jurassic World.
Yeah, right.
I mean, producers, with their producer's hat on, seem to be looking for adventurous directors who have done these very smaller budgeted films.
Well, I think that's a process you see throughout this sort of film history and television history. I mean, that's really how we got brought into TV in the first place. Same thing was sort of like, there was this moment where, The Sopranos showed up, and it kind of felt like it was going to change television in terms of what television. There had been great TV before that, but just in terms of being more ambitious on a cinematic level, that show sort of changed things. And so all of a sudden, that's how we got brought into TV. They started to look to indie filmmakers to be like, oh, well, who's out there doing something interesting, who has an interesting voice, interesting style that we can bring into television and kind of reinvigorate television or sort of make it more cinematically ambitious. And I think it's the same process now with the big movies. They're all, you're working in genre, and the danger of genre is that it can become stale, because you're following certain conventions from movie to movie. So for us, we're the kind of guys that are always looking we love genre, but we also like finding ways to manipulate genre and subvert genre in ways that the audience isn't expecting to bring ourselves to fresh places. So I think that the producers of those big movies are very much looking to maybe quirkier sensibilities to help bring into a commercial system to help keep the genre fresh and evolving in a way that remains surprising to audiences.
That's what you really did with Winter Soldier. I mean, you took a 70s thriller, and you even have Robert Redford in the cast, and you took something like that, and you put it in this genre, and it became something out of the genre that we'd seen. It was completely different, and it got rave reviews from critics, did really well at the box office. It was the perfect storm.
Yeah, we've always, I mean, look, combining, you know, sometimes Joe and I refer to it as like a mad scientist process. We like to take like incongruous elements and smash them together creatively and then see where that takes you and see if you can hold it together. I mean, that was very much like Arrested Development, for instance, was, it was premised on being like a documentary, but it was completely absurdist, and you smash those two things together, so like realism and absurdism. The same thing with Winter Soldier. We went for this, we said, okay, it's a comic book movie, and these characters don't really exist, but let's ground, especially because it was so specific to Cap, let's ground them as much as you can in a comic book movie world. Ground it in reality, use a genre like the political thriller, which is a very sort of grounded current events kind of thriller, and sort of smash those together and see what we can do.
We like to deconstruct things, and I think that's really behind our work on Arrested Development, our work on Community, and I think casting Robert Redford, being fortunate enough to have him say yes to work on that movie, not only lends great credibility to the project, but also commentary on the genre. We like things that have multiple layers to it because we think that it's more for the audience to chew on. Really, if we want to be crass about the way that you define what movies are, they're a commodity. And the more dense that the commodity is, the more it can appeal to a wider audience, that somebody will find something in the material that is enticing to them. So some people go to see the movie because of they love Robert Redford. Some people will go because it's evocative of the 70s films that he did, the political thrillers that he did. And some people will enjoy the fact that it's the first time he's playing a villain. That was one of our favorite movies growing up was Once Upon a Time in the West, where Henry Fonda had a very famous turn as a villain in that movie. And some people say to the detriment of the box office of that film. But we always enjoyed that concept that you took, and if anybody's familiar with the movie, it's one of the great villain entrances of all time. He murders a family, so not only did Leone choose to make him a villain, but he made him a horrible villain. But there's so many layers to that, playing with people's perception of an actor and the actor's reputation in the marketplace. And so we're always looking for something that adds a twist or a layer behind it that people can sink their teeth into.